Hello, I am Mario, and today I am with Dustin Ring and Josh Anderson, admins of No Bullshit Bodybuilding Original. And as promised, we are interviewing today IFPA pro Tyler Mayer and also nutrition consultant at tylersnutritiontraining.com. Can you introduce yourself?
Hi, Tyler. I'm an IFPA pro. That's me.
So it's simple, but tell us a bit about more of yourself. I mean, how did you get into natural bodybuilding?
Actually, when I was in high school, I was a competitive four-sport athlete, and I always worked out since I was about 15, and when I got out of school and out of college, I still continued to work out, but actually my motivation levels went down a little bit, and I kind of got into the party scene a little bit, and I just wanted to get back into something competitive. And I actually literally just woke up one day and I wanted to do bodybuilding, and I got with a trainer and I trained for a show, fell in love with it. I actually never even went to a show, and I competed at my first show, actually seeing it firsthand, and then I just fell in love with it and wanted to continue to do better from there.
When can you say at what point in your life did your training actually start becoming serious, where you actually started following just a strict, just every day or every couple days, you started actually continuously going to the gym with a set routine?
Probably it started about mid 2009, but early 2008 or 2009 actually. I always would just kind of bro it up, as you kind of call it, previous to that, and I didn't really have a structure. I would just kind of go in and just hit back buys or arms or chest tries, whatever, and I rarely did legs because I hated doing legs, to be honest. And in about early 2009, I got with the trainer, and actually a legitimate trainer who actually gave me like a layout of like a periodization. And then after that trainer, I actually started doing more of like the nonlinear periodization, and it just continued from there. I think my intensity of workouts actually increased when I started getting to know actual like other pros and working out with them. And when I went to Dr. Joe Klemczewski's fantasy camp, that actually made me like amp it up to another level, because I wanted to be a pro, so I wanted to train like a pro. So that's basically only about 2 or 3 years is when I actually really turned it up a notch.
So can you say that you actually have more intensity now? You feel more focused when you're actually going into these workouts where it's just a set routine with X amount of sets and reps, and you're not continuously thinking about, oh, am I going to be training, back and biceps, or, chest and triceps, or whatever, bro split, I guess you can call it.
Yeah, I go in, typically have my workouts laid out a few weeks in advance, so that I know, at the beginning of the week, I know what I'm going to hit all week. And I really like it that way, so that I can focus that day of what I'm going to be doing, instead of just going in, guessing what I'm going to be doing, and just doing whatever. Now that I keep track of everything, I have a lot of books of my training from like 3 years ago, and I just keep track of everything religiously, and I try and break my own records. And ever since I started actually tracking my progress, I actually progressed more, if that makes sense.
It does. In regards to your nutrition, when can you say that or if I can ask, what type of nutrition do you follow right now when you're dieting it and you're not?
If it fits into if it fits into your macros, I'll follow that right now, and will forever.
When did you actually start incorporating if it fits your macros?
I started it in 2009 when I started my prep for the OCB here in Arizona. I actually never really did it until then. I didn't even know what a macro was, and I thought it was ridiculous to religiously count your macros. I thought it was too much, and I was used to the bro way where you just kind of eat clean and just make sure the foods you're eating were adequate or clean, I should say, and not really like junk food. And I just kind of based my progress off how I look. Well, now when I started doing that, it's just my metabolism's a little different. I didn't know it was as high as it is, and I started learning more about my body as I progressed.
What can you say were the high points and the low points in regards to your bodybuilding career?
Well, definitely my high points is when I won my pro card. But I think also one of my high points was when I won my class at the July NPC show here. It's a non-tested show, and some of the people in my class it was obvious they're on stuff, and it was just me, this tall, skinny guy, came in and won my class. That felt really good because there wasn't a bunch of chumps in my class, so I felt like my conditioning was my conditioning stood out, so it was hard for them to not place me first, I guess. And also the head judge told me that he hasn't seen that kind of conditioning in a long time, so that really felt really good. Also, another high point was probably in 2009 when I won my class. I never ever thought that I would win a class at 169 in a tall class, and I just knew that instant, as soon as I walked off stage, that I could actually compete I could win my pro card eventually. I felt more confident. Probably a low point for me was the first couple shows I ever did. I followed the diet for like 12 weeks, but the last couple weeks I actually cheated pretty heavily, just because I couldn't handle the low carb diet, and it's not for me, and I didn't know that. And I knew walking off stage that I would never feel like this again, and from there it just escalated to do better.
So, we do believe you are affiliated with the Diet Doc franchise, right?
Yes.
When did that start, and how did that start going?
Well, I started that in June or July of last year. I've been working with Joe for a few years now, and actually, to be honest, I think I started TNT before the Diet Doc. I started officially last January. But I've been doing it since 2010, but I was never official since the beginning of 2011. And I think when Joe found out that I was doing that, I think he basically he got on me, and he kind of was like, "Hey, I need to bring you in, and kind of help you out with your business." So it was a huge addition for me, because the Diet Doc side is more the general population for me, and I have two different websites, so people don't get intimidated with the bodybuilding look compared to a general person. And I've met Joe several times. I've gone to his fantasy camp, and he's a great guy, and it was a great opportunity for me to join. It was really hard to not say no. It was really hard to say no. I'm sorry. To him offering. So I'm actually really glad I did it. It was the best thing I ever did.
What are some goals that you want to achieve within the sport of natural bodybuilding? Whether it be in a few months, few years.
One of the goals, actually next year when I start my prep, I just want to qualify for the Yorton. That's my goal right now. I just want to someday I want to make top 5. My debut, I just don't have the size to hang with some of those guys, but my pro debut, I'm hoping to qualify for the Yorton, so that if it's here in Phoenix in 2013, then I would love to do a pro show in my own backyard. Be able to get on stage in front of my friends and family and hopefully do well. But the overall goal to start off is just get top 5 and then go from there. Maybe eventually down the road win a pro show would be pretty cool.
Nice. A question that Dustin had asked me to ask you was, since you're a natural competitor, has the thought of ever riding a bike or taking anabolic steroids ever come across your mind?
Yes, it has actually.
Say no to that.
I mean, it comes across my mind just because I don't have the body type to be able to put on mass as easy as others. I can get really lean pretty easily, but it's just really hard for me to put on mass naturally, and it has come across my mind. I actually almost considered it, but in 2009 when I won my class, I knew it wasn't right. I knew morally it wasn't right. I knew if I ever wanted to go to the NPC level, I would have to go pretty heavily if I wanted to actually be a pro. So I decided I'm not going to do it and won't ever do it.
Good stuff. Yeah. Let's see. What's some advice you can give to new trainees or just someone that's starting off in the gym and they're looking to put mass on? What supplements would you recommend, just from the get-go?
Supplements is for definitely a whey supplement, also creatine monohydrate, a basic multi. I know there isn't really and maybe some beta alanine, but for a brand new person, I probably wouldn't recommend that. I would just stick to the very, very bare minimum to start. But there really isn't a lot of supplements out there to be able to enhance really.
Agreed. Josh had just asked me right now to ask you, do you use pre-workouts for energy going into your workout?
I do take caffeine. I take about 400 milligrams of caffeine before I work out, just because I work all day, so then by the time I get done with work, I'm constantly running around work and signing patients, and I just get kind of tired, so I'll take the caffeine just to kind of give me a little kick. But that's basically all as far as stimulants go.
Right, gotcha. Another question regarding your prep. How big of a caloric deficit do you go into when you're leaning down? What's the biggest caloric deficit you will have to achieve before you're stage ready?
For myself?
Yes.
The biggest caloric deficit I'm trying to remember my last show. I went so slow with the prep that I think I was only maybe 400 to 600 calorie caloric deficit, really. I mean, I did 30 weeks of dieting my last show, and I was at 2,700 calories, and prior to that, I was at 3,300 before I started dieting, and then I rarely did cardio. I did a little bit of cardio. I was doing more 10-minute sprints or a light jog after my training, and that was pretty much it. I didn't do endless hours of it. I would never do that. My body would kill me.
Let's see. Next question is, how high of a body fat percentage do you go up to when you're bulking?
For me, probably the max I would go is about 12%. I have been higher than that. Actually, before my prep in 2009, I was 223, and that was the heaviest I've ever been, and I will never get that heavy ever again. I was probably about 18% at that time, and I dropped down to a stage weight of 169. So I just figured it's not worth it to get that heavy in your off season when you're just going to have to take most of that off anyway, unless you diet for 50 weeks. Even then, it's really hard for a lot of people to diet that long and take it off slowly.
True. Next question is, how much weight do you gain or seek to gain each week when you are bulking?
Right now, I'm maintaining